Hello, everybody. Hi, Kory. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of energy. Yeah, there we go. It's like the midway point pick me up, right? Okay, this works. Awesome. So 3 years ago, I put this slide up for the first time and we talked about the transformer paper, right? Attention is all you need. And we talked about giving language to AI. We also on that same day announced our investment in Cohere Series C. It was the first time we had invested in them. A lot of you looked a little skeptical, which was probably rational at the time. We didn't have a lot of information, right? What did we have is we had some experiences that we had coming from Google. We had some desk research. We had anecdotes from our smartest friends and where they were going to build their careers at burgeoning companies. We had industry leaders who were saying that the world was going to change and around this new technology, everything was going to coalesce and that companies would be more or less successful on their use of this technology. At those times, this was more just words because things were underbuilt, infrastructure wasn't really there. But there was enough to see a glimmering of what would be like an interesting commercial opportunity. Fast forward 12 months, by 2024, the data showed up. I got on this stage and said it was an AI space race. A little tongue-in-cheek today, given that we're actually talking about data centers in space, which I did not see coming. And we're getting ready for a space-oriented IPO next week, which is exciting. But the data started to show up. So we highlighted investment, $22 billion into AI startups in 2023, which was up 5x the year before. The 36% of the S&P 500 said the word AI in their Q4 report, earnings report that year. And there were estimates out about $1 trillion of value that were going to go into the global economy because of AI generally. Again, still felt early. Security, infrastructure, and really customer delight was sort of underbuilt, I would say. But the ecosystem was forming. Last year, for those of you who are in this room, you might remember this slide. We had Carl get on stage, and Carl is founder and CEO of Reliant, which actually just recently was bought by Cohere, so good Canadian story of two companies coming together. And he talked about system one and system two thinking, or fast decisions and slow decisions, where the fast decisions are the rabbit, which is one shot like prompt that says, hey, what is the capital of France? And you very quickly, Paris, right? Where the innovation was in the slow thinking. This is the system two thinking, where the turtle takes a prompt, hey, what is the economic outlook of Canada given all of the things going on in the world today? And it takes that question and it breaks it down into steps and step by step starts to go through that answer and gives it a much better outcome. This is called inference or test time compute. This felt like a really big turning point. And it was, but it wasn't yet clear what the outcome of the reasoning would be on the pace of innovation. So here we are today, and I'm sure all of you can see that because it's super big. But I feel like it's sort of snuck up on us, or at least things sneak up on me sometimes, where it's like we're getting a decade of innovation in a year. Right? A big announcement at least every month. And it's not just across one domain. It's math, it's biology, it's code generation, it's security, it's all of these different things. And one of my favorite examples is, let's take the one in May, which is an Erdos problem. So it's a mathematical problem where in 1946 it was, if you were to take a flat sheet of paper, to a 2D sheet of paper, and you were to put a set amount of points on that paper, how would you graph it so that the distance between the 2 points, you could get the most 1-inch distances, right? So the game is to get the most 1-inch distances. For 80 years, mathematicians graphed it as a equal grid. My fingers are not an equal grid, but maybe it gives you a sense of like what an equal grid would look like, right? And that was supposed to be the best answer to that question. Recently, this question was given to a reasoning model, and using algebraic number theory, it plotted something completely different and like wildly increased the number of points, thereby showing something fundamentally different on a mathematical scale. So this is a problem that was proven by what's that called? Field medalist, sorry, right? So a field medalist. So what's interesting here is typically what you would do with a computer is you would brute force this. You would have like 100 million examples of trying to get to this outcome. But what the reasoning model did is it thought or reasoned like a creative mathematician and created a different solution that had stumped people for about 100 years. So, reasoning works, and the AI community now has sort of 3 scaling laws, or one big meta-scaling law. This chart is not our chart. It's been on the main page of about every NVIDIA presentation for the last 12 months, right? Where you have pre-training, where you give the model the data, post-training, where you make it useful towards a set of outcomes and make sure that it has some sort of rules in place for what it does, and then test time scaling or inference time compute, which gives the model the compute at the inference moment to reason its way to better answers. It's not the curve replacing another curve. It's all 3 working together, which is why this progress continues to happen as one curve plateaus, right? So they jump off of each other. It's a combination of these scaling laws that is driving the pace of innovation that we saw on the slide earlier, and particularly in problem-solving areas where there are many different possibilities of what you could do in a problem set. So think about the Erdos math problem instead of what is the capital of France. This is also true in what you call verifiable domains, which just means things where there is an answer, right? Coding, math, logic problems. Those are the things that you can get this sort of like scaling outcome towards a better outcome. And we have a lot of conviction that these scaling laws and maybe the next bump in whatever this graph is, whether it's recursive self-improvement or whatever it ends up being, are what's going to drive the technology industry for the next, insert your timeline. I mean, things go so fast I can't predict, but a long time. Companies born in this era, what we call AI native companies, who are applying these models into end markets, are growing faster than any generation before them. So often more efficiently as well. So they're being rewarded with the majority of VC dollars around the globe. And I could talk all day about how we source, evaluate, and back these companies. And of course, the bright line here is Cohere. We saw Joel earlier on stage. We could talk about how we look for world-leading scientists defining the model layer like Cohere, how we back workflow products that keep experts in the middle and let a team clear far more of the infinite backlog in the domain that they're an expert in, or how we're really looking for entrepreneurs who take product market fit as a practice rather than an end state, because things change so very fast. But this year, what I want to talk about is something a little bit different. What if you're not a top 10 AI native company? So most of the companies that existed before 2022 had sort of the same 3 things. Customers they were serving, a team with a settled way of working, and a code base they were maintaining, and then the world changed, right? This is a very busy AI-generated image. I did not draw this by hand. It might surprise you to find out. And it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's sort of like what we see founders dealing with every day. And the real question underneath it is sort of brutal but simple. It's, what does it mean to become an AI-accelerated company when your company is older than the newer AI era, right? And so the CEOs ask themselves, do I leave my customers behind to start over? Do I rebuild my whole stack from scratch? Do I replace my engineers with a small set of 100x engineers? What the hell is a 100x engineer, and how do I tell when they walk by me on the street? Is my next model release going to just do what I do? Is my revenue durable, or does it go somewhere else? Is there about to be massive pricing pressure? Like, that's what we see people deal with constantly. And the answer to that question is, yeah, it depends, right? Depends on what you do, depends on how you interact in the ecosystem you work in. What we have seen is that there is no substitute for going through this metaphorical walk through the desert. You have to feel the pain, have hands on keyboard, and live the friction to then try to chart the course of how your company is going to interact in this era. When you're able to find your way through that desert, we call these once SaaS companies, then AI-enabled companies. And we're no different. Inovia is a 20-year-old, 19-year-old VC firm, right? We're learning and reimagining how to do our business in this new era. And one of the ways that we approach this is we have a CTO office, so Steve Woods, myself, Shyam, Mike, and a bunch of EIRs who help our portfolio companies understand what is happening at the frontier, support technical diligence, and develop the applied intuition that makes us better investors. On the other side, where the other side being more internally focused for us, we have a TAD team. So it's a tooling, AI, and data team led by Shyam, Abits, and Colin. They take the frontier learnings from the CTO office, from diligence, and deploy them internally. They manage our data infrastructure, drive our tooling, roadmap, and handle risk and education across the firm. Our CTO office learns from the frontier, and that knowledge bridges directly into how we operate. It's a virtuous circle. I mean, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek in the sense that like this looks like that circle on the right for us, but it probably looks more like this, right? So a little bit of an abstraction layer. But as we learn, the better our systems get, the more leverage every person on the team has, right? And we're nowhere near perfect, but we're taking our walk through that desert. And of course, our portfolio companies have been taking this journey as well. AlayaCare is a good example, is a system of record for home care agencies serving a large and historically underserved market characterized by sticky customers, tailwinds, aging population, healthcare costs. They found themselves in a domain where AI wasn't going to overnight change their entire business, right? Healthcare, probably not that surprising. But Adrian, the CEO, knew that the world was changing and he had to change with it. So he pulled his team together. He challenged them to start experimenting. He invested in Alaya Labs to create skunkwork teams to start building some customer-guided features, simple chat interfaces, internal tooling, and made incremental progress without burning the boats of what was built. That was his way through. Fast forward 3 years, and AlayaCare entered into the AI era in a couple of ways. First, it is the first and only company with a comprehensive in-home care platform that is truly agentic, with AI automations that do things like complex workflow scheduling, patient care plans, and visit verification reimbursement. And the second is that they transform their internal workflows with productivity and your revenue per employee growth on the right-hand side. So as a result, AlayaCare is not only shaping the future of home care software, but is also emerging as a category-defining leader in the application of agentic AI for specifically healthcare operations. Other portfolio companies have done similar things. You'll see their logos on the bottom with Benchai, Fellow, and Super. Mia will talk with Hussein later this afternoon, so you'll hear the Super story.